President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appears to have brokered peace between the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and his estranged political godfather, the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. What began as a quiet power tussle exploded into full-blown chaos, polarizing the State Assembly, leading to the demolition of the legislative complex and culminated in the declaration of a state of emergency by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in March.
President Tinubu had on Thursday last week hosted a closed-door meeting at the presidential villa, where present were Nyesom Wike, Siminalayi Fubara, and key lawmakers. The result? A public truce, smiles, handshakes, and a promise no more acrimony. Though, according to reports, the peace brokered came with conditions which speculators say may not have completely favored the governor. Though Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who continues to appeal to his supporters to accept the peace moves, continues saying that there is no price too big to pay for peace. Let's take a look at this video.
At this point, if you want to be truthful to yourself, not lying to yourself, the only solution is peace. I didn't say that there is no price that is too big to pay for peace. I meant it, and I am still ready to follow you to the end.
Us to discuss this development is Head of Mission Leadership and Accountability Initiative, Henry Shield Nwazuruahu. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, you are audible enough. Let's get your thoughts about what is described as a peace that has been brokered between the parties involved. There are speculations as to what the conditions were. Governor Siminalayi Fubara has, like you've seen in that video, had to appeal to his people, saying there is no price too big to pay for peace. Do you consider this being the price to pay for peace, or do you think that he has officially been subdued or overwhelmed and enveloped by a hurricane that he probably did not foresee?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. To discuss this rivers issue, we need to call a spade by its name. The Constitution and democracy has been trampled upon in rivers, and that needs to be made abundantly clear for anyone or any group of people who are listening and watching this program. Before we delve into the nitty-gritty of the whole settlement and everything, let's accept first that there has been a total desecration of the Constitution in the rivers issue. If that has been said, then we'll look at what actually this rivers debacle starts. A governor assumed office on the 29th of May, 2023, same day as the president, and in less than 6 months, the House of Assembly, who are loyal to a former governor and present minister, Nyesom Wike, decided that it was time to impeach a man that had been in office for just about 6 months. That was where this whole thing started from. A man resumed on the 29th of May. He already planning his impeachment. This was all uncalled for. It was a needless distraction to the government and also to governance in the state. And what happened? The governor decided, okay, the House of Assembly will be disrupted, their proceedings and the rest. Okay, and then we saw in the ongoing fight, 27 lawmakers from the Rivers State House of Assembly publicly declared their defection from the PDP, on which platform they got elected, to the APC. And the law states clearly that once such a defection is done, you lose your seats. Okay? Now, after defecting, and in contravention of the Constitution of the country, They went and they proceeded to still be carrying out their sittings and the rest. And the governor said, no, this will not be accepted. This is not acceptable. This will not happen in the state. And their proceedings were kind of disrupted. And 3 other people came up, including the last chief of staff, Edime, became a speaker. There were, I think, about 3 of them or so who now started carrying out the business, the legislative functions for the state. Now, was this necessary? No. What was the cause of this? It was the Wike's angle of believing that the state belonged to him. It was the Wike's angle of, saying, if it is not my way, then it should be the highway. Because other governors, even those who were helped into office, we saw in Akwa Ibom State, we saw in Delta State, we saw in different states who had godfathers who helped them to become governors. They did not have this kind of overbearing attitude of their godfathers on breathing down their neck and disrupting the what do you call it? The business of governance. So we have had in the last 2 years, let's be clear, we have had to deal with Wike's overestimation of his own importance in the state. We have had to deal with Wike's greed and his overbearing attitude over the state. He is not the first former governor from the state. Wike led Rivers State for 8 years, ruled Rivers State for 8 years. Not once did he allow any such former governor or whatever, or president or anybody breathe down his neck or to decide for him how he was going to govern the state. So why on earth would Wike not have allowed Fubara? And when this started, Fubara decided he was going to fight because it was becoming too much. I'm a governor, you are not allowing me to do things I'm supposed to do. I can't give approval without this. I can't do this without this. Fubara decided, like as a man should do, as any sensible person should do, to assert himself, right? In the process of trying to assert himself, Wike got this and got that and got that, and Fubara became a little bit slow to understand. He began to retract his step. The truth of the matter is, what Tinubu has done, first of all, by imposing the state of emergency on the state, was completely illegal, was in meddling in the affairs of Rivers State against the law, against what the Constitution says. They said, okay, there were bomb blasts or whatever, 2 bomb blasts in the state. Okay, so for that reason, there's insecurity. We're going to declare state of emergency. You took away the powers of the governor, suspended a democratically elected president. You suspended him from office. Now, during this suspension, you did not say, okay, we have increased security in the state. Now there will be no more bomb blasts and everything. The governor can come back. You suspended him for 6 months. It does not take 6 months to arrest people that are trying to bomb anywhere if truly there was anything like insecurity and not an artificially deliberately caused one by those who wanted the state of emergency to be declared. This is all game to them, and it is affecting governance. It has affected governance in Rivers State. They declared state of emergency, and within the time they declared state of emergency, and I want Nigerians and the general public to take note of this, right? The governor submitted a budget of 1.4 billion, for 2025. And it was still in the works when a sole administrator was appointed for the state, who now submitted a budget of 1.9 billion naira. First and foremost, the job of a sole administrator, if at all, should have been to come in, stabilize the state, ensure there is peace, and leave. Now going to extend the budget from 1.4 that the governor that was elected presented to 1.9 billion naira. That's number one. Number two, he set up structures in all the local government areas of Rivers State. Went ahead, proceeded to start appointing members of the Rivers State State Electoral Commission. Why will an unelected military administrator have a business with setting up democratic structures that will get people elected in position in the state? It shows you the intentions. It shows you the motive of Aso Rock by declaring by declaring state of emergency in the state. They have totally crippled Fubara. Now,
Henry, if I may comment at this point, thank you very much for setting up the background to our discussion this morning and taking us down memory lane as to how this crisis began in the first place. Now, looking at the situation as it is today, present day, Rivers State, Nigeria, just over the weekend, apart from the visit to the presidential villa where the president, saw this peace deal, and we've seen images of both parties shaking hands, and it looks like all is well. Beyond that, they also took it further over the weekend. Suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara was seen with Martin Amewule and Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, at the funeral of FCT minister's uncle. So it seems all is well. Now that the president has settled the crisis, it seems all is well in Rivers State now. Do you expect the sole administrator to complete, or the suspended governor to complete the 6-month suspension and return to power in September, or should we start the process of handing over the state, of recalling the sole administrator and returning Governor Siminalayi Fubara to Government House in Port Harcourt? Do we expect to see that anytime soon?
Well, yes, I expect that now that they have gotten what they were looking for, they will now allow Fubara to go, because they've taken over everything from him. They've taken over the local government. How can a governor be without having anybody in the local government, without having his own people, without having control over the administration of the local government areas in the state? That's number one. Number two, you made an important thing. You said now you saw them shaking hands and, saying everything has been, the issue has been sorted out and settled. Let me be very, very clear on this national TV. Let me be very clear, right? They wanted a slave as governor of Rivers State. So what you saw over the weekend was the acceptance of Fubara to be exactly what they wanted him to be. Now you saw him, after that so-called mediation, following Wike as a PA to attend his uncle or his cousin's burial in Rivers. That is the governor of a state now following behind, and then Wike entered into the owner's corner of the car, and Fubara entered like a friend. That's supposed to be the governor of a state. They wanted a slave as governor of Rivers so that they can be in control of both the resources and the administration of the state. And unfortunately, Fubara has fallen for them and has become that lapdog that they're looking for. What he will be there now is just to be a ceremonial governor, a ceremonial head in Rivers State. Rivers does not have a governor in Fubara anymore. What they have is someone that will go back to the old agreement of whatever I want to do, I need to go and get my boss's approval. You can see the governor and you can see the body language of the governor. He has been succumbed. He has been defeated psychologically, mentally. He has accepted things that are not even in the interest of Rivers people. So let's not say that there's any amicable settlement. No, what they've done is to remove all the powers he has or he's entitled to as a governor, and what they have now is a slave as their governor that they will dictate to as they want. This is my own personal opinion, and that is the way that I see it.
I mean, from that video that we saw whilst you were speaking, we saw the governor walking, him and the former governor. There was like maybe a slight nod. He got to his seat, exchanged handshake with Martin Amewule. Didn't exchange handshake with him. Some would interpret that as well as the governor being subdued. But what does this mean for the people of Rivers State? The people who swore their allegiance or who voted in Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who gave him his vote. What does this mean for the people who have stood by him through this whole ordeal? He's asked them, I mean, in that video, the video we played at the start of the conversation, he said nobody can take away the role that his Oga played in all of this. Do you think that the people of Rivers State will be disappointed in the governor for how he has handled all of this?
What it means for the people of Rivers, right, is that their will, their voices, their cries, their aspirations, their dreams do no longer matter in the affairs of things, in the scheme of things, Wike is now fully back in charge. So you are having an extension of Wike's 8 years as governor. You are having an extension of 4 years. Now, the people of Rivers in this whole thing do not come into play. Not from the president, not from Wike, and definitely not even from Fubara himself, because if he had the interest of the people at heart, by now, he will make public everything that these people are requesting you to do. Now there are fillers in public that are saying, okay, it was agreed that you will only do one term and you will not seek a re-election. How on God's head do you deny a duly elected governor his constitutional right to seek an election, a re-election? How? Can someone say that to Tinubu? When Wike was governor of Rivers, could anybody have said that to him? No, no. So these are very criminal agreements. You cannot, you should not tell a governor or any Nigerian at all that they cannot seek re-election if they've been in office after 4 years as permitted by the Constitution. That's number one. Number two is that it will not have any candidate for the local government elections that are coming on soon. Listen, the whole agreement that was done to bring this peace is undemocratic, and I am surprised that the PDP is allowing one of his own to be trampled upon this way. How do you tell a governor that the local government structure will go back to the governor that left, the former governor? How? This is a total surrender of the state to Tinubu and to Wike, a complete surrender, a total annihilation of the people's resources and their will and their voices and everything. They were not, you can see the happiness in Wike's faces. You saw the whole joy and everything. They have conquered Rivers as they wanted to do, and they now have a governor that is ready to play ball with them. I will not accept conditions. I will leave the government house and tell them to take power. Let them extend
that brings me.
They hijacked power from the people of Rivers.
And that brings me to this question: the Human Rights Association, Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria, Huriwa, insists Fubara should have gone to court instead of accepting the second peace deal. I mean, if you were in a situation, what options were really left for Mr. Fubara? I'm sure he has weighed his cards. He has seen the people he was up against. What could he have really done, given the circumstances and the situation he finds himself today? And also watching his fellow PDP governors that don't have issues with the central government decamping and declaring support for President Tinubu left, right, and center. What realistic things could he have done otherwise? Or should he have gone to court like Huriwa has suggested?
As presently constituted, this is sad to say, but it is the truth, all right? Nigeria does not have an independent judiciary. As presently constituted, let's not lie, let's not deceive ourselves, and let's call a spade a spade. When the matters were still in the high courts, the appeal court, and everything, Wike kept telling people that they should not worry, they will come back. He already knows, or rather he knew what was going to come up from the Supreme Court. Now, several matters were before the Supreme Court, right? Just the one that the Supreme Court handled. They left the issue that was going to make a declaration on the defection of those 27 House of Assembly members. Meaning that our judiciary as of today is in bed with the government. Completely and totally in bed with the government. What could Fubara have done? What Fubara could have done was what he should have done from the beginning. He should not have allowed Wike this breathing space to have overshadowed him and overwhelmed him as the governor of the state. You have led for 8 years. 8 good years. Nobody disturbed you. No former governor, no president, no minister disturbed you. You had your time as elected governor for 8 years. Why on earth can't I have my own time as governor of Rivers? You said I'm dismantling your structures or something. You are a minister in the FCT. Focus on the FCT. What Fubara has done, according to what Uriwa said, and in support of what Uriwa has stated, Fubara should have gone to court. Fubara should have even made the Supreme Court to address the second leg of the petition that made him become powerless in the state. And it is dangerous. It is a serious danger for us as a people, as citizens, including you guys in the studio, that we have a judiciary that is now more political than judicial in their declarations. We need to start having the judiciary get the citizens to have confidence in them. Look at the declaration they gave about Labour Party at the Supreme Court. Very unclear. Look at what they gave in the matter of the PDP at the Supreme Court. Very unclear. Look at what they gave in the issue of Rivers State. Very, very confusing judgment from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court used to be the court that when you go there, issues are finally laid to rest. Not more confusions created. What we have now are more confusions arising from the what do you call it? From the Supreme Court. So we're having more confusions, we're having more distractions, where we don't even know where we stand. Today now, we don't know if people should defect, will they still maintain their seats? We don't know. The Supreme Court just brought more confusion that has now favored Wike. And people keep saying, Wike does not lose any case in the court. Wike has the judiciary. He doesn't lose any case in... This is Nigeria. This is not the United Kingdom of Wike's dynasty. We should be worried and we should be focused on that. Why is the judiciary making itself an instrument in the hands of politicians? These are not even politicians who are after the good of the people, but for their own selfish interest. Why would a former governor, an ex-governor, a retired governor, not allow the new governor to operate? What are you settling between a former governor and a new governor? The issue is simple. Let the new governor be governor. Let the minister be minister. What is all this issue? We are bringing them. We want to make a truce. Truce between what? There are no two governors in Rivers. There is only one governor in Rivers. His name is Siminalayi Fubara.
When you were speaking earlier, you talked about how you were disappointed in the fact that the PDP will allow one of their own to act in this manner. What do you expect the PDP to have done?
Absolutely. What do I expect that PDP should have done?
Yes.
Number one is that it is very clear that this is a political game being played by Aso Rock and Wike against Rivers State. One is that beyond going to court, there are also other strategies that could be deployed to ensure that it does not even get to the point where you are going to have to declare a state of emergency. Listen, if the governors had insisted that we will not accept this state of emergency in any of our states for artificial crises that are caused by political players, the governors all kept quiet throughout this instance. They all did like it didn't matter. They left Fubara, and now Fubara has been thrown under the bus. Fubara also has come out to realize he's on his own. He has also decided to throw his own followers under the bus, saying there's nothing like Sim anymore, Sim whatever anymore. We are all now under Wike. How is this possible in a democracy? How is the minister, a former governor, able to get a whole governor to succumb and surrender everything about the administration of the state to him? The PDP governors, the PDP leadership failed completely. They left Fubara to fight this fight alone, knowing that Fubara is a novice, a complete novice, someone that is new to executive powers. And it was deliberate on the part of Wike, just like Tinubu did in Lagos, making sure that those who succeeded him are people from the civil service or whatever, and not call politicians that have structures. So that when you want to fight them, you fight them plainly. They have no structure, they have to rely on your own structure for their re-election. This is what has happened again in Rivers State. Wike made sure that all the people that wanted to run for governor after him, that had political structures that were called politicians, he did not allow them to get tickets. He made sure it was Fubara because he knew Fubara would be a novice without any structure, and that is what is playing out at the detriment of governance in Rivers State. At the detriment of governance in Rivers State. Governance has been suspended since this House of Assembly decided.
We have to, of course, wrap up the conversation now. Henry Shield Nwazuruahu, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We could see the passion with which you've been speaking about the challenges in Rivers State Again, we always say this on the show that what is important to us is that governance is placed in the front seat, and politics, or like some will call it politics, should be shoved to a corner. But thank you so much for joining us. And
Thanks for your time, Henry.
Thank you for your time.